I mean, you listen to Kofi there, and it tells you that, look, there's a challenge that we need to solve. But I'm sure you've also interacted with mothers and students as well. How do we deal with this? I mean, if they are spending more to put their children to school, and that's why they are not going in a free senior high school era, then of course there's something we need to do. What have you seen? What needs to be done?
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity. And let me reiterate what previous speakers have mentioned, that free SHS policy is a good policy because it aims at ensuring that children have access to secondary education. And the data is showing that the number of our wards getting access to senior high school education or secondary education is increasing year by year. Yeah. And that is a good thing. Of course, in every undertaking, it gets to a point that you need to pause and take a look at what you have been doing and try to address challenges if there are any, you know, and then so that that endeavor or that undertaking will be improved or enhanced. And so with all the challenges that are coming up, for instance, barriers created by prospectors, for instance, I believe the ministry has taken the first step, you know, in harmonizing the prospectus. But we could still look at it and reduce the items that will have to be taken to school so that the cost can also reduce. Okay. Secondly, we have to look at the policy again and ask ourselves, or just secondary education and ask ourselves, must every child go to the boarding house? Don't we have to look at the day schools and have more day schools? Reduce the cost. Because it is the boarding schools that are taking a chunk of the cost of education. And you will have to, you will select a school for your ward. You are based in the north and you want your ward, for instance, to be in Fansipem or Wesley Girls or Presec. That's a long journey. Do you get it? And you have to buy all the things that is required to send your ward to school. And so if we have day schools that are taken care of, provided the needed infrastructure and logistics, I mean teaching and learning materials and everything that is required, to make those day schools also grade A or first class day schools. That would help parents to appreciate the fact that my ward can go to a day school and still perform creditably and probably find their way to a tertiary institution. Okay. So we should begin to have that broader conversation as well, whether boarding schools are the solutions if we want to have a social program such as free SHS, you know, where 70% of the student population will have to land in a boarding school. That is also one aspect to look at. Okay. Another aspect to look at is maybe we have to go back to the drawing table and ask ourselves, from the beginning of the program, did we do any costing? Are we realizing any changes in the cost? What should we do about it? You know, just opposing that with our revenue generation as a country, you know, domestic, because this is domestically funded. And so how much are we generating as a country? What is the cost? How did we see the cost from the beginning? Did we anticipate the increases that we are having now? And how can we address that effectively? Yeah. If we find that government alone cannot bear the cost, how do we pass on costs to parents such that it does not still prevent anybody from going to school? And I side with Kofi. It is about time that we establish a good database of the poor and vulnerable in our country, such that when we want to implement such social interventions, we can target them, You know, we can make it free to an extent for some category of people and make it totally free for those who cannot afford at all. In that sense, you are addressing the same situation. I can send my ward and pay 100 cedis. Somebody can still send their ward and pay 50 cedis. Somebody will send their ward and pay nothing. At the end of the day, it's like insurance. My 100 and my 50 and your 20 will be added together to also support those who cannot afford at all. I believe that is the way to go, because as a country, we are not generating the revenues that we need to address the needs of this country. And if we want to do so now, government will increase taxes here and there, and the citizenry cannot pay those taxes. So we have to sit around the table and dialogue, and that is why this is a good platform to start that discussion.